Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 633, recorded live on Sunday, March 28th, in conjunction with DDO Players News. And at this point in the show, I realized I was going to ask you what number you guys were on, and I didn't do that yet.
And you have me unprepared. I am a professional podcaster. So let's kill some time here. Pretend I answered you right away
This is Draculetta from DDO
Hey
Players
everybody.
News.
We are on 285. This is the episode that it is. So welcome to DDO Players News as well. We are crossing the streams, as it were.
Very much so. Very much crossing the streams. Welcome. What was the number you said again?
285.
Look, with the magic of live editing, we can throw that number in there and make everything jumbled on the screen and everything. Yeah, we know what we're doing. Hi, welcome.
We are professionals.
This week's screenshot, system backup, lurks in the marketplace in this week's DDO screenshot of the week. If you're looking at the video, this is a much... this was in a widescreen picture, and this is like maybe half of the picture. To get it to like fill the whole screen, had to cut off the sides. So I've noticed that people are sending in like wider screenshots of late.
I have noticed that too. I don't know if like people are getting bigger monitors, so I don't know, but this was a cool screenshot though.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm gonna guess that they are wearing the crown of snow to get the fire effect, but although they could just be using a cold shield. I don't know. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website, DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. Our next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com, with our calendar. And now I'm going to spring it on Drac again and have him give the DDO Players News introduction.
Yeah, welcome to DDO Players News. We talk about the latest news from Dungeons & Dragons Online and also the world of the tabletop and beyond. And our next show probably will be next week.
Yeah, we're this is one of those times when we're both like really busy.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. So,
and we were talking about some things, which we'll talk about later, and then it just kind of devolved into, hey, we both need to do a show. Let's do it at the same time.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a darn good idea you got right there. So we'll just do that.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Yeah, we have.
On the podcast this week, we'll talk about some game news. There was a fair bit of DDO game news because we have Preview 1 for Update 49. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about there, including some doom and gloom. Welcome to the world of DDO.
There's always doom and gloom. Always.
Some of it is, shall we say, exaggerated. But yeah. So we'll talk about that. Some community news. We're going to talk a little bit about Gencon because part of what instigated this was me sending something to Drac about in response to DDO Players News talking about Gencon on their last show. So we'll talk a little bit about Gencon as well. Anything else we're going to talk about?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk about game news then. So there's, like I said, there's quite a bit of kind of. We'll start with the easy stuff. Players Council update. The new Players Council roster has been selected. They had almost 400 applications, and they selected 24 for the new council, which seemed really small to me. Was expecting it to be only 24.
Yeah, I thought too that we'd have at least 40 or 50 or something like that. And then I'm like, did I read that 24? Okay. So, wow. Okay.
Just 24. Seems like they could have had a few more. But
now, is this an all new council, or did they retain some people from before? Maybe that's why they only did 24. I was unclear if they were reseating the whole thing or they had some holdovers.
My understanding is they scrapped the old one, so there's no carryover, and then people reapplied, and then from there it became like I believe some people may have been who were on the council before may be on the new one, but it's not like they had to go through the same application process. It wasn't just a boom, you're in it kind of thing. So there you go. If you applied for the Players Council, you should, if you were selected, you should have already received some information about that the Players Council section of the forums and the Player Council Discord server. I think it's kind of hilarious that they have both of those things because they seem kind of redundant to me, but sure. How about it, guys? So good luck. Go fight, win, I think.
Exactly. Godspeed to you. Do good things.
They also had a notice about customer service times. Cordovan wrote, in recent weeks, we have been experiencing a slowdown caused by technical issues that has impacted the ability of customer service agents to respond in a timely manner to in-game issues. I want you to know that they are working on it to resolve those technical issues and at their highest priority. They know that we have been waiting longer than we would expect to hear back from them, and they're working to return their ticketing system to a more responsive experience as quickly as possible. My main questions here are, if this has been going on for weeks, why are we just getting this statement? It seems
my first thoughts too.
Seems like maybe
you maybe should have said this a couple weeks ago, maybe, but okay, good. Whatever you want to do.
Also, customer service has been really slow, kind of the whole last year. Sev talked about it a little bit in this last Q&A, or maybe it was the one before. So it's not like this is a new problem. They've been having issues there, so yeah. Anyways, that's what they said. Hardcore Season 4, we found out what the rewards are going to be this year. It's the same same goal structure, so 1,750 favor will get you an Overlord collar. 5,000 favor will get you a Dalekeer steed. Steed, so a mount. 10 Reaper points will get you a Deathwalker's Cloak 4. And 20 will get you a Theric Pup War Veteran Certificate. I think I saw something that said the collar was a helm of some kind, which seems kind of strange for a collar.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, why is it not called a helm then? But okay.
I mean, it doesn't. There's different things you can put in your head from a.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah,
that is true. Yeah, and then at level 20, you get the Deathwalker Sash version 4. Cordovan did respond to some stuff. Said their hardcore rewards have historically been cosmetics, and that is likely to continue. The collar is a head slot cosmetic. The sash and cloak are cloaks, of course. So, I mean, it's the same reward structure as last time, and the time before that. Cosmetic helm, cosmetic mount, cloak, pet certificate, and cloak. So,
I didn't get a chance to watch his Wednesday live stream this last week. So did he show up the steed? I'm just curious what the steed looks like. Do we know?
Well, I don't watch that like ever.
Okay. Oh, okay. I usually try to.
I just don't have time usually. As far as I know, I haven't seen pictures of it yet. So
it seems like, I think last time they waited right before and then they showed.
If I remember the kind of rumor mill from what I heard was essentially that this was they haven't finalized it, I think was my understanding.
Okay.
So
we'll have to wait till somebody hits 5,000 and gets one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe not. I mean, it might be out before that. That wouldn't surprise me. But he wasn't able to release them yet. So it'll be like right before it goes live, maybe they'll release it. But I feel like in the past they haven't actually previewed it. So
I was trying to think. After I said that, I'm like, now I'm thinking I
Yeah.
don't think they ever have really previewed it.
They did preview the logo, which was in the Chronicle this week. Is the picture, which is a Mind Flayer head.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I think the second one still looks the best to me, but it looks pretty good. Cordovin also said responded to some questions and some wish listing and stuff. And said there are others who also want us to re-release prior rewards, but also a large group who very much feel that people had their chance and the item should remain special. The push on poll on it hasn't led us to a conclusion yet. We aren't opposed to offering past rewards again. I know Samus and I have had this debate on the show a few times. Yeah, I don't like the idea of things being exclusive, but it's also not a huge thing for me either.
Not a big person for exclusivity like that either, but I mean, I guess I can kind of see, because when they first announced Hardcore, they did say you had your chance to get this, and they didn't necessarily say you could get them again. So I guess I don't know.
Didn't say
I
you
guess I
couldn't.
can right. See, exactly. They didn't say you could, didn't say you couldn't. So I would be okay either way. Obviously, if they say that maybe next Hardcore you can get some past rewards, maybe you have to work a little harder to get them or something, cool, fine. I'm okay with that.
I've
And if
always
they don't, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I'm always gonna bet on the stance that if they're gonna release it, just when you turn it in, just you can choose whichever season reward you want. You still have to do the work. You can do it just in a later season.
Right.
I think the general consensus, if as much as there is one, because there is a lot of, there are people who say, hey, we'd like to be able to get it in a later season, and there are a lot of people who say, no, I got it that season and it's special because I got it that season. I think if they if a later season had a different color of footprints, I think a lot of people would care less. Because I feel like that's the thing that people want to get that they can't get, is the footprints.
Right.
Which are cool. Like, I understand. Like, I like them, having them a lot. They're great. Anyway, there's Hardcore Season 4. I personally probably won't play. I did say that for Season 3, and then ended up getting 5,000 favor anyways. So,
of course you did.
I got sucked in by a friend to help some of her friends who became my friends, and that's just kind of what happened. But I'm not planning on doing it. Mostly because, I mean, if one of the cosmetics is something that I really like, maybe I'll do it. But I don't know. I just don't really feel like I want to put the time. Like, it's the same thing. I'm not really interested in putting in the time again to do the same thing over again.
Right.
I've met the challenge a couple times over, and good enough for me. You planning on going there?
I'd probably not. I mean, I might stick my toe in maybe, but no, I probably don't have any real solid plans to do it.
I'd maybe do a drunken hardcore night again. That was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, well, see, now that would be fun.
Anyways, let's talk about Update 49 Preview 1. So this hit Lomania this week, Thursday, March 25th. Or sorry, no, it was open. This doesn't make sense. It was supposed to remain open. Okay, so it was opened Tuesday. It remained open until Thursday, March 25th. I can read and talk at the same time sometimes.
Again, we are professionals, people.
I mean, it's
like quality podcast you're getting.
Oh, sometimes your brain just refuses to read, but continues to talk.
It's like I see the words, but I can't say the words.
They also had a dev event that Wednesday. Pretty typical Lomania preview.
Standard what they do every time.
So we'll talk about the primary features in a minute. Some of the bugs, miscellaneous changes, and bug fixes. Shifter Howl ability have been tweaked. We talked about this on our show a little bit. basically they're kind of smoothing it out, so it should land. It should now trigger at the appropriate point in the animation, which is slightly earlier than before, and you should also be able to cancel out of it a little bit faster, a quarter of a second faster. So all of those people who are really good at that Twitch timing stuff can get a little bit of bonus there. They fixed augment summoning for shifters. Let's see, Maestro of Life and Death now provides its listed spell critical chance. Bard's Mass Hold Monster now uses the correct spell components. Bastards. First, you take it away from my SLA list. Isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, but now I have to use spell components too. Damn it.
Jeez.
I know. Word of Balance's tooltip has been corrected, as has Greater Shout. Let's see. Cleric SLAs and actives can now be used while moving. That's nice. Those can always be a little annoying. Anything that makes you stop or doesn't work while you're trying to run can be frustrating.
Exactly. Just let me do my crap while I'm running.
Yeah. Well,
It'll
also because if you get stopped, you might end up dead.
Right. I'm running for a reason, people.
Yeah. Chaos Hammer, Unholy Blight, and Order's Wrath now do the correct damage versus all alignments. That's good. Probably what happened there is when they updated a whole bunch of spells with update 48.4, they probably didn't update. They probably only updated like the one number. All of those spells do such and such damage versus some alignments and such damage to other alignments. So, I'm guessing one of them got updated and the other one didn't. Jeets and Salimus now offer you a longbow as a weapon of choice for the grotto.
Thank you. That has been my biggest bitch for I don't know how long. Give me a longbow.
Well, they don't even give you a short bow, do they?
Yeah, there is a short bow that you can choose, but that's all you could get. And I'm like, I don't use short bows. I use longbows.
What are you complaining about? If you can get a short bow, I don't know what the complaint is. I don't know why you need a longbow.
I don't know. I just like longbows better.
I mean, they do more damage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a D8 versus a D6. Woohoo!
But I am so happy that it's actually going to be a thing now. That is amazing.
I don't know. It seems kind of silly to me personally, but whatever. I also don't really care. As is evidenced by the fact that I don't know what the list is. I clearly don't run the grotto very often.
I'll just say, let's be honest. I always skip Gorthos, so it doesn't really matter to me at this point anyway. But
I guess you could make an argument that I TR often enough that I should pay attention to that list. But clearly I don't. I pick it up, pick whatever, and then throw it away immediately.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's usually what you do with those anyway, or maybe you use them for a level after that, and then you got better. But yeah,
this is in part of the bow changes, which we're going to talk about more thoroughly in a few minutes. Glamour versions of the Titania's crown now show butterflies. I'm sure people will love that because I think that's like 90% of what that cosmetic is the butterflies.
That's why you want the crown to begin with. So.
I mean, you could also get the I think I believe Titania's crown is the Fey Twisted version. Not positive on that, but I think it is. So you can just use the non-Fey Twisted version would work just fine. But I think it's actually the crown of butterflies. Let's see, insightful and quality resistance item now provide the correct amount of bonuses. Well, that's handy. I like my saves being what they're supposed to be.
Right.
Unless they were giving me more, in which case, dang it. Eversight now functions as intended. That is a combination of true sight and maybe blindness immunity or something like that. I just remember it combines some things. The Change Stone's rated turn in now mentions that it is randomly rolled. So the Change Stone is the item that is random. It has four attributes on it, and each one of them is a random selection from a list. There's not a whole bunch of, but I think there's like over 1,000 combinations or something like that. Like one attribute is this 6 different stats, and so on and so forth. Well, it turned out when you opened the Raid Rune list, it showed you what the Change Stone was going to be. And if you closed it and reopened it, it showed you a different version of the Change Stone. Well, it turns out after you buy the Change Stone, it re-rolls it anyways, so that was a lie.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Um, if, I'm not sure what the better answer is. That like if they could do it, but it'd be really good if it just said this will random like instead of a tooltip saying things, uh, in the lit like giving you what it could be, and probably won't be. If it actually just like gave you like told you it was going to be random, like didn't
Right. Yeah.
actually show any of that at all. I don't know what this note means it actually is doing, but that's what I'd like to see. They fixed a stuck spot in blown deadline. I wonder if that's going underneath the little archway bridge things in the middle in the main thoroughfare. um, if you're on blown deadline, don't run between the ramps. Like there's in the main thoroughfare when you get down to the actual factory, there's like a ramp up and then a bridge and then a ramp down, and that bridge is just a bit higher than your avatar, unless you're a small person, and you can get stuck under there if you run in there. Let's see, tieflings should now more consistently play the sound of their footfalls and display bloody footprints when that is toggled on. Cool. Although I never noticed the tieflings not displaying bloody footprints, so maybe that's a new thing. An unconscious range bonus now appears in the plus stats tab. Yay! That's great.
Yeah, that's kind of cool to have. Yeah,
I like that. More information. What's not to like? Let's see. The quests. Perils of the Planar Eyes is expected to contain, when released on live, 4 dungeons. This preview, they only previewed 3 of them. An Element of Chaos, Seizing the Dawn, and Beautiful Nightmares. The quests are level 12 and 32. I don't know how often I will run these at level 12, to be honest. It's not a level I usually am looking for more things to run. But we'll see. We'll see how fast they are and stuff. I guess it would be competing for me in terms of Lord's March 2, second chain there is what I would probably sub out if I were to change it. And that's Coin Lord favored, so if I need the Coin Lord favor, not so much. That was pretty good XP. Although a couple of the quests are a little bit longer, but you know. Anyways, it looks like we're gonna get 4 quests, level 12 and 32. So that's fun. New named loot. They previewed the new named loot. I would expect this to be the thing that changes the most from preview to preview. Because that seems to be at least the case the last couple times. Did you get a chance to look at the loot list?
I did.
Any initial thoughts?
There was. Let me see if I can find it. There was one thing that kind of jumped out at me, but now, of course, I can't find it. Yeah, of course, I can't find it now that I want to see it, but. It kind of shocked me that it looks like a lot of it is just trinkets and belts and gloves. There really wasn't a lot of weapons.
No, there's not. The weapons that do exist are caster sticks.
Yeah.
There's 2 sets of caster sticks. One are fusible scepters, the other one are malleable scepters. The fusible ones are kind of more offensive, so it's fire, acid, ice, force, and lightning. The malleable ones are positive, negative, light, force, and repair. Interesting that force is on both of them. That's supposed to start that. That's weird.
Yeah, that was a couple weird.
That's a typo. It's supposed to be sonic. Yeah. Not force. So it's positive, negative, light, sonic, and repair.
There is a cloak that I thought was kind of nice. It gives you speed, charisma, parrying, dodge, and featherfall, and then a blue-green augment, which I thought that was kind of nice. That could be handy to have.
Yeah, that's not too bad if you're charisma based. Those weapons, the scepters, you can take a fusible and mush it with a malleable and get a quarterstaff.
Okay.
Which a lot of people were like, okay, well that's cool, but why would I do that? I'm just taking two pieces and I'm making them into
Yeah, I'm
one.
making it into
Um,
one. I like my two.
it
Yeah.
it gives you magical efficiency, which is the only thing that seems to be different. Um, so I don't know how popular it's going to be. The other part about that was, um, I don't really know what I would be combining here. Because the one stick is fire, acid, ice, force, and lightning. The other one is positive, negative, light, sonic, and repair. Most builds aren't using both of those except for
Right.
healers, right? Like,
That would be very, very case specific why you would want to combine
yeah.
those.
So I
Like
don't,
super specific.
yeah, I don't think that you're gonna see a lot of people combining these. To be honest, I guess it upgrades the red slot to an orange slot too, but I don't know. In terms of numbers on the stuff that's on these, it's all pretty comparable. The caster sticks, I think, are their insightful damage is slightly higher, by which I mean like maybe 6 than most of the stuff that's in the game right now. Um, but otherwise, the numbers are really comparable to other stuff we already have in the game. So there's not a power bump here. You might find some things that'll fill in some gear slots, and if you only have one of Fey or Sharn, Feywild or Sharn, maybe there's some things to slot in here that'll have a lot of impact in what you're doing. Um, Rothko says you would combine them because staves are cool.
Okay.
Good staves are cool. Staves that do interesting things are cool. A
Right.
stave that does the same thing as though if it were two sticks that I can mix and match in more, that is more restrictive than just mixing and matching the ones I want. Less cool. But yeah, I guess the malleable ones have some different things on them. So the physical and magical sheltering, false life, insightful wizardry, and necromancy focus, depending on which of the um, elements it is. They are not random. It's just they match up. So if it's positive, if its element is positive, then you'll have positive lore, devotion, insightful devotion, and physical sheltering. So not as I don't know.
But overall, I wasn't like jumping up and down
No.
to like, ooh, I have to have this specific thing. I'm just like, I mean, it's okay, but
Yeah, no. The most interesting things I saw was there's a ring that gives lesser arcane and lesser divine augmentation, uh, which allows you to cast your first through ninth level sorcerer or wizard spells at 2 levels higher, and your divine spells by 2 levels higher. But again, I'm kind of like, well, that's neat, but why would you need both?
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
maybe a druid, I guess, but
Oh, I could see a
except
druid
the druids are
probably.
all divine spells. Like it's not fire spells, it's sorcerer and wizard spells. So it just
Yeah,
it just seems weird. Um, so I don't know. Uh, that item is probably a lot worse than it actually looks because it's like one of those two things is only going to be useful by one select group of people. If they put another thing on it so that it had 5 things and that was 2 of them, that would make more sense to me. But there's also the trinket. The Chaos in a Bottle trinket has Spell Turmoil, which when you cast a damaging fire, cold, acid, or electric spell, there's a chance you get a plus 20 alchemical bonus to spell power to one of those energy types for 30 seconds. If it lines, like if when you're casting fire, it only gives you alchemical spell power to fire, that would be pretty cool. If it's more random and it doesn't care what you cast and what it gives you, that would be less interesting. So yeah, I'm not super impressed by any of this stuff, but it could also fill some spots if depending on what you're looking for. But I don't expect this to be a popular place to go. The tower shield's not bad, um, but it's not super different than other Tower Shield, some other Tower Shield options. Although, in fairness, the Tower Shield option that I'm thinking about comes from Too Hot to Handle, so if you want the Too Hot to Handle shield and can't find it and can't get it because it's too hot to handle, this shield would be a good option for you. There you go. That's the new stuff for loot. Hey, let's talk about the mount stable. I don't know how much you guys have talked about this. Not because I don't listen, but because I just don't remember. They're coming out with a mount stable, which will work similarly to cosmetic pets, which means if you double click on a mount, it will redeem that item and place the mount in your mount stable. The mount stable is a new tab of the inventory menu that contains all of the mounts you have redeemed on that server, regardless of which character redeemed them, like with cosmetic pets. To summon a mount, you simply either double-click on the desired mount from the mount stable, or you drag its icon onto your hotbar and click it there. Before we talk about how awesome this is, can I make a confession?
Sure.
I just learned that you can drag the icons for cosmetic pets on your hotbars because of this note.
I was about to be dumb and say, does that work like cosmetic pets too? Can you drag this?
Yes,
yeah, I didn't know
it
you
does.
could do that. Sweet.
It in fact does.
I did not know. I was just about to ask. I'm like, okay, so see, that's going to be a game changer now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's the thing you can do apparently with your cosmetic pets. I don't know if it's always been that way, but it is now.
Yeah.
Let's see. They did say plans for the currently existing mount bag item are to be determined. Yeah, oops. Considering that a bunch of people bought, I think this was kind of the big draw for the White Plume and other mountains bonus items. Wait, was it that? No, it was Keep on the Borderlands bonus items.
Yeah, it was the Keep. Yeah,
yeah. Because it came out with
Keep. Yeah.
Yep. They had the bonus pack for that, and it was I mean, if you liked the cosmetic set, that was cool, but a lot of people, and some that I know, bought it specifically for that bag, which is now useless because you don't need it anymore. Yeah, that doesn't go over very well.
Yeah.
I mean, as Samus would say, gameplay may change. You bought it and you had it for use for what, a year and a half?
Yeah,
something like that.
Pretty close to.
Only just keeping out. But yeah, I hope they come up with something to like you can convert it and compensate or something like that.
I would hope they would.
They did also say that mounts from pack and expansion purchases will continue to be delivered on each character, just like they do for cosmetic pets. This ensures that if someone accidentally deletes an item before redeeming it, the solution is simply to log into a new character and redeem it, instead of needing to go through customer service. Yeah, a minor annoyance, but fair. I kind of don't care about that, to be honest. I mean, it's like 10 seconds of annoyment, right? You just delete it.
Right.
And
I mean, I get so much crap when I make a character now. So I'm used to it at this point. It's like delete.
Yeah.
And we're good.
Yeah. So I will also mention, I have not tested this myself, but I did see that someone said that if you want the fast versions of the Borderlands horses, you have to use the horseshoe to upgrade them before you put it in the stable. So
okay,
note that.
Good to know.
That may change. They may come out with a way to do that, but my kind of suspicion is that may be really hard tech-wise to do, so I wouldn't plan on it. If you want the fast version of those horses, get the fast version first, then put it in your mount stable. Although that would mean that you could not ride that horse until you were done upgrading it. I assume you could have both versions in your stable.
I would hope so.
If you can't, I expect there to be some pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
And they will probably fix that, but there you go. Yeah, this is great. I mean, you only need to get the horse once, and it can be I will actually now go and get the other horses from Borderlands. I got one of them, and was using it on the one character that I was playing the most, and then I got the horse from Hardcore Season 2 so that I didn't have to get horses for all of my characters, even though that was probably less work.
Right.
But there you
Yeah,
go.
this is like a cool little quality of life thing that I
Yes.
think was well needed.
We're going to get to the end of the year and do our year-end reviews, and this is going to be the change we're going to come back to say, best change of the year!
Yep, exactly. Calling it now.
Yeah, right? And that's with Epic Destinies changing this year, too, so... Of course, there's a lot more, so we say, antsiness regarding that change.
Yeah.
Speaking of antsiness, let's talk about the bow changes, shall we? This is going to take a little while, so strap in, hold on to your hats. Please hold all Doom threads until the end of the entire section. Bow changes. So they're moving to update 49. It's time to take a look at the bow combat style changes. This is a complicated path with a lot of moving parts. So they wanted to walk through the reasoning behind things before listing the full itemized list of changes at the bottom. Here's what's changing and why. Can I just say that, like, I at least find it much helpful and easier to swallow when they get on board with when they do detailed explanations.
Yes. Much better.
I mean, at least that's me. But I also don't mind reading walls of text because I recognize that, much like talking on this show, I tend to be very verbose.
And this is a wall of text.
Yeah, incoming.
Yeah.
So they're revamping the bow combat style. For a long time, bows have been difficult to balance on their end, and as a result, have either been extremely strong relative to other builds, or, as is the case now, been trailing behind a lot of other builds. They're aiming to rebuild the structure of the combat style, fix some bugs, and ultimately make the bow combat style easier to balance and stronger overall. As a note, they mentioned before, there's a bow-themed universal enhancement tree, Horizon Walker, scheduled for later this year. At the moment, that is tentatively scheduled for update 50. After these changes, and they'll be rebalancing their plans for that tree after this is done. So it looks like they're taking some of my critique of, hey, maybe don't put all of the changes in at the same time so we can, have better information and feedback about what the changes are doing and if they're too much, what, when, or how, right? So, as usual, they say all of this is subject to change. Please note that we're still in the process of DPS and bug testing. While they have goals laid out below, they're still working on making sure that we meet them, and many things, especially specific numbers, will likely change before live. Which I will sidebar and say that a lot of the feedback I saw was related to kind of number, not all of it, but a lot of it was related to kind of like number crunching stuff. And like specifically here, they're saying like they're still working on making sure the numbers meet the goals. So, what I would say is don't freak out a whole lot if you see stuff that people are talking about numbers, right? Like they're still working on that part, and they're saying,
oh yeah, this is heavily a work in progress.
Yes.
So
probably more so. I think that is more so true with this change than what we saw with Inquisitive and Improved Precise Shot and with Alchemist. And I think maybe some of that is because there was a large outcry against how they did both of those. So I think they're doing this a little earlier to get better feedback from players, or more feedback from players. But having said that, it still could end in a place where people hate it. So good luck, devs. Goals.
Exactly.
Let's talk about goals. 1. Add an animation set to bow combat. Add an animation set to bow combat that allows them to balance the bow combat style without incredibly high base attack bonus values that break the speed cap. As he'll get into later, current bow animations are problematic for balance as well as certain features of DDO's engine. They needed to be replaced. 2. Buff bow builds and heroic levels. Bows attack a lot slower than other weapons on live currently, and that's especially problematic in lower heroics. Yes, it is.
I agree, as somebody who plays a lot of bow builds.
Yeah. They're looking to improve that with a mix of speed and power. 3. Buff bow builds in Epic by retaining the existing maximum attack speed but adding more power. Conversely, for game performance reasons, they don't want bow builds shooting much, if any, faster than they currently do. However, they do want endgame bow builds to be stronger, so that means making each shot hit harder. Side note on this, they don't want bow builds shooting faster. They have previously mentioned some similar stuff in terms of having players having more attacks in less time leads to performance issues. Just because the game has to calculate things more often. Specifically, I think physics calculations is the big thing. I don't think the number crunching is as big of a thing, but I think the physics problem there is a big part of it. And in fact, is something that they have kind of addressed a couple times in the past. I don't know if you were around, Drac, when they made the changes to 2-weapon fighting.
Yes.
Where they gave us, that's when offhand strike became a thing, as opposed to your offhand having a % chance to try to hit. But your offhand was doing physics calculations. They tied the main hand physics calculation to the offhand one and removed that second physics calculation. So, all that to say, attacking faster, less good for performance. Good for us, other than the performance issue. Remove the combat style's over-reliance on burst damage by eliminating many shot and adding most of that power back to bow stats in other places. And at that point, if there were people in here, the messengers would just have been shot.
Exactly. Don't mess with my meta shot.
I know. As they've said for years, many shots design is one of the main sticking points in being able to increase overall bow damage. Your damage is multiplied so much 1/6 of the time that it's difficult to buff the other 5/6 without ridiculous hoops, connected cooldowns, and weird clauses. It's time for it to go in favor of more overall power for bows. As you'll see detailed below, they've changed Money Shot to an attack, added some more stable range power and double shot into bow feats. Between those and the new Money Shot attack, you should, by the time we go live, emphasize, by the time we go live, be doing better damage overall than before, just distributed more evenly.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I hear you. We're going to put a pin in that mini shot thing. We're going to come back to it. We're just talking about the goals right now. Diversify the number of viable builds that can use long bows and short bows. This is goal 5. Right now, the only builds that are really close to viable with bows are rangers and, to a lesser extent, fighters. There are other trees that can make use of bows, and we'd like those to be more viable than they currently are, even if they end up trailing behind the sheer power of bow-dedicated fighters and rangers. I have seen some fun other builds. They're not like super powerful, but I've seen like a druid arcane archer crowd control thing using paralyzing arrows, and same thing with bard. I've seen a few times, but the power has just waned so much the last couple years that those have fallen out of style a lot. 6. Don't significantly shift the role or strength of individual enhancement trees. Let the pass's other features bring all of them up together. Which may be the hardest part of the whole thing. So they kind of listed some of the trees here. Deepwood Stalker, a DPS-focused tree that balances melee and bows. Arcane Archer is crowd control-focused tree with secondary elemental DPS theme. Kensai is a bow DPS tree if you want it to be. Knight of the Chalice, favored weapon DPS-focused tree, and if bows are your favorite weapon, it can work. They've made one change for this to aid the fact that requiring bow feats is harder for paladin than fighter or ranger. War Priest or War Soul is a hybrid DPS casting tree with the full backing of divine healing spells. They're still talking about whether or not they feel it necessary to add bow-specific bonuses to those tree to support them. And Zen Archery Monks, usually a hybrid of some kind, and they want to make sure they're supported, also without becoming disproportionately better or worse. If you're newer to the game, that specifically has been disproportionately much better at times. So we'll see how that goes. I also say Zen Archery. I have at times used Zen Archery for my ranger to use wisdom instead of dexterity. Although these days I mostly use the falconry tree to do that as opposed to the feat. But all right. Anything you want to say about the goals?
They have some lofty goals, I'm just going to say.
It's a good way of putting it.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck indeed. All right, animation set. The two most baseline elements in your attack speed are animation length and base attack bonus. As your base attack bonus goes up, we apply different multipliers, usually increasing as you level and your base attack bonus goes up to the animation speed. This isn't really displayed in-game anywhere, it's just considered to be your baseline attack speed, and is also used to let us adjust for animations that may be faster or slower than we need them to be. It wouldn't be terribly useful to dive into the relationship between those two numbers, but the core of a lot of bow users' attack issues is this. 1. The existing bow animation is terribly, painfully slow, much slower than you ever see in-game. This is fixed by using base attack bonus's speed to make the animation much faster, but still slower than most other attacks in the game. 3. DDO's engine won't let animations go beyond a certain level of speed, and this base attack bonus speed adjustment on live brings bow users most of the way to the cap at level 1. And a Deepwood Stalker with haste easily made it over that cap with no other boosts. Oops.
Oopsie.
So all of the things that we've seen over the years about increasing speed to bows apparently wasn't doing anything because they were running into the cap. So they made a new animation set that doesn't have that issue. That solves goal number 1 right out of the gate, and they also use it to address goal number 2. So, level 1 ranger with a longbow using the current animations, each shot takes about 1.14 seconds. The new animation, it's 1.11 seconds. Yay, 0.03 faster! That isn't much faster. However, as they'll get into in the attack speed selection below, attack speed bonuses are worth more in this new animation set than they were before. If you have the haste spell applied, a speed item, or a feat that boosts your range attack speed, such as rapid shot, you'll be firing significantly faster than before at low levels. Because you're not hitting the cap. So, that's good. As I said in Goal 3, however, they want you to fire at about the same speed you do now on endgame. So the amount of speed bow users gain from base attack bonus between level 1 and cap is a lot smaller than before. They're going to come back around to that because even if the base fire rate is the same, some of your other bonuses, attack speed, are going to count with bows when they didn't count before due to the engine cap. I was going to say, like, I mean, if we were already hitting the cap at level 1, like, I don't see a problem here. Attack speed. The current animations cap firing speed with bows at about 0.69 seconds per shot, or about 87 shots per minute. Any bonuses you would get that would make you faster than that simply don't work right now. While they're fixing that, they don't want to significantly increase that on a stable basis, though they do want boosts to do what they say they do. In the past, they've sometimes added extraneous speed sources for bows as a way to help prop up the combat style. This didn't work because of the animation problem. It was a lie.
That darn cap again.
Yep. But with that issue fixed, it's time to pull back on some of those. To get to the new endgame baseline speed to an attack of 0.69 per shot, you only need 25% attack speed boosts. They're planning for that to come from 2 sources at the moment. Enhancement bonus, 15%. This is the most common bonus type for the attack speed, found in the haste spell, speed items, and blinding speed feat. In most cases, it means that it caps at 15%, but there's an outlier that they're fixing with this patch. The blinding speed feat, which currently grants 22%. It was meant to be a direct analog of the haste spell. However, around the time the feat was created, they reduced the range attack speed the haste spell gave from 22 to 15%, and the feat never followed suit. So now they're making it match, because it will actually do something. Also, Reconstruction's attack speed portion was the same, and they will also fix that. They do understand that this affects other range builds that do not use bows and are comfortable with that change. If they need buffing after this, they'll do it in ways that are better than having them rely on a single misaligned ability. So congratulations, throwers, you got nerfed with bows.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's what happens when you leave things wrong for a long time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The remaining 10% needed for bows to reach 25% could have come from a number of sources, but they decided to keep it in place on one of the earliest sources available to most bow users, the rapid shot feat. This means the following sources of bow attack speed have been removed. Shot on the run no longer gives 10% attack speed with bows. its range power has been improved from +3 to +6. Note, range power is not bow specific. So, hey, your thrower's builds are getting a little bit more of a buff here. Improved archer's focus. In the tier 5 Deepwood Stalker, no longer gives 10% attack speed with bows. However, it does now grant a +10 to range power. Again, not bow specific. Primal Hymn no longer gives attack speed with longbows and short bows. It still gives it for thrown weapons, though most of the time throwers are running into the same animation cap that bow issues were before these changes. So I guess throwers might have a similar set of changes in the future. Also, top-end range alacrity items came in 20% and 25% variants. Wasn't big of a deal, but left untouched, they'd be much stronger. So, they have made all instances of 25% range alacrity 20%. They are leaving the 20% untouched for now to analyze how big of an item leaving them will be, but it may change before live as well. Whew. That's attack speed. I told you to strap in. Your podcast likes long, dry shows about release notes, right?
Of course.
Steelstar put in some clarifications with this. You shouldn't be hitting the animation cap at all under these new animations. Action Boost Haste should give you 30% speed boost as expected. Yay! Now I had to figure out how to get that on my bow user because he doesn't have it. He has the range power instead. No, there's no direct attack speed cap anywhere in the game. The one you're running into bows on live is an engine side cap, meant to keep the server from collapsing in a fiery heap. Outside of that cap, which most non-range characters never even approach, your attack speed is not capped by base attack bonus or anything else. There is, however, a relationship between base attack bonus and attack speed, which they talked about a little bit in this thread. As your base attack bonus goes up, basic under the hood attack speed with certain weapons goes up as well. Functions as a multiplier. Previous devs tried to fix bow's deathly slow animations by having base attack bonus make your animations play really, really fast. And that boost, combined with the in-game attack speed, is why they were hitting the safety cap. The new animations are much, much shorter than the old ones, so the base attack speed values on the back end look a lot more like the melee builds, and you should not be hitting the engine safety cap with bows under any circumstances. Any boost you get to attack speed with bows should apply. Sounds good, I think, so far.
So far, sounds good.
I mean, attack faster, good.
Right.
Things that say I will attack faster make me attack faster.
Good.
We like this.
Throwers
got a speed nerf, which they needed. No, I'm just kidding.
He said it. I did. Just saying.
Said I was kidding.
It was a joke.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, look, they also got buffed too, right? Like,
right.
They're losing 7% speed. Although it sounds like they were also hitting their animation cap, so that 7% may actually not be that much of a thing, depending on how fast you were attacking with ranged or with throwers. So I'd be interested to see if there's like some numbers that people come up with behind that, but I'm not sure if they will or not. All right, better scaling damage. Classically, these bows have had dexterity to hit, but no damage modifier. This caused a lot of bow users to feel like they had to spend points in Universal Trees or splash 2 Rangers, spending points in Deepwood Stalker, or their damage is trailed behind viable levels. To help bows have the better damage that scales closer to other weapons, and in service of goal number 5, making wider variety of bow builds viable, they've added dexterity damage by default on longbows and short bows. I'm not sure I like that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think I really care. Because it's not that big of a deal to get, I think. But, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to do that.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah,
I
this is the
understand
one
it.
thing that I mean, I guess I kinda understand it, but I'm like, why couldn't you have done it some other way other than doing dexterity to damage? But okay.
If I mean, look, if you don't have that damage modifier and your relevant stat is 100, your bonus is what, 40? Something like that.
Something, yeah, close to
Uh,
that, something like that.
I don't feel like doing the math at the moment. I think it's around 40. So I mean, plus 40 to damage from your stat, that's a big deal. Especially when you start multiplying it by range power and critical hits and stuff like that. So I understand why they're doing that. I'm just not sure that it was necessary to do it this way. Because there's a couple ways to get. I guess if you don't want people to have to splash Ranger, which by the way actually gives you like 2 Ranger actually gives you strength as a stat as well because of bow strength. But it seemed like I don't know, maybe you could have done it in Horizon Walker. You could have added it in trees or something. I don't know. They did note that crossbows do not have an ability to score damage to modify to damage by default either. However, they have bigger damage dice, better crit range and multiplier, and other considerations where they don't feel like such a change is necessary at this time. I mean, that's kind of not true. They have similar damage dice in pen and paper, at least. I don't know why they would have different damage dice. Why they're saying they have different damage dice here, but maybe I haven't been paying attention to that as much. I don't know. In any case, hitting harder in heroics and epics, they wanted to increase bow damage in heroics with not just attack speed but a little extra power. Dex on bows alone isn't reaching that height yet, especially as it doesn't gain anything on some existing builds. So, point blank shot now also adds when using a longbow or short bow, you gain +1 critical multiplier on a roll of 19 to 20. Cool. They're also for combat archery also now grants a +1 critical threat range with longbows and short bows. And combat archery's dexterity requirement is now 17. It was 21. That's really helpful, actually. Because that you can get if you have a 10 dexterity +7 tome gets you there right out of the gate. So, which is pretty common. I know not everyone has them, but it makes it easier to get to. Should help some builds that need to split ability score increases to reach this essential feat. Yeah, so that's good. All right, you ready to talk about mini shot?
I guess. Do we have to?
Yes.
Okay.
Rip it off. Just speed this part up. Listen, like fast forward. Just speed it up. It'll go rip the Band-Aid off faster. Probably unintelligible.
Edit it in post, right?
All right. They want to take mini shot's power and distribute it back into passive damage. If you don't use the current mini shot, you break about even on sustained damage with approximately 20% double shot and 20 range power, depending on how much of each of those stats you already have. However, they also wanted to keep the idea of mini shot around, so they've made the following changes. Mini shot is gone. There's a new mini shot feat, which is a bow attack. You fire 3 arrows in quick succession, +1 critical threat range and multiplier on each of those shots. It only rolls for double shot once, and it has a 12-second cooldown. Also, passively, you gain double shot equal to your base attack bonus with longbows and short bows. Rapid shot also now adds you gain range power equal to your base attack bonus with longbows and short bows. So you get that twice apparently if you have both of those feats. Between those two sets of changes in the attack speed you're getting back, you should end up with around the same amount of overall DPS in upper heroics and epics, just distributed a lot more evenly across your attacks instead of bursting the majority of it up front. Yeah. So that's a change. At least it was short to read.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even know where to start with this.
I like the concept of what they're trying to do. However, I like the burstiness of many shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it to
I
be
agree.
as super punchy bursty as it is. But I don't really want another attack. Like another click attack. Because my ranger already has more than I know what to do with. There's a bunch that I just don't use because I don't ever have to cycle between them. Also, my finger dexterity and hotkey savviness is not nearly enough to have more than like 6 click attacks. And my ranger has like 10 already. So, I yeah.
I mean, I guess I can get used to it, but I don't. They could have made this change in a different way and not touched many shot. I don't think, but
Well, I think mini shot was gonna have some. Mini shot was gonna get gutted. It's
it,
always been, from a balance standpoint, a problem because anything you
yeah,
do to balance bows was always hindered by this idea that for 1/6 of the time you're gonna get this massive increase.
massive. Yeah, exactly.
Um. So, but
I
I personally would have liked it to have stayed in kind of the theme of I click this and I have something for 20 seconds, like a burst, action boost kind of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Um, I didn't need it to be as big as it was, but that's kind of what I would have liked to have seen. Even if it's just I don't know if it brings it down enough. But like maybe it's just because it gives you more than one shot. I think right now, I can't. It's actually gone under some iterations, so that might not be true. But just giving me like some number of double shot, I think would have been fine for me. Uh, I just don't really want it to be another click attack because I don't really want more click attacks. They're not having 20 click attacks is not fun for me. And I liked
Lord knows.
the click the fire and forget buff thing for a short amount of time. So
Yeah, and like you said, the Rangers have so many click attacks anyway.
right.
That it's like, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna have to next Lamania build. I am gonna have to get on it actually because I didn't have a chance to like get on this last one at all. So I'm definitely want to get on and play with this and see
Mm.
like what it's actually like gameplay wise. And then I guess maybe I'll have some different opinions, but I don't know.
If you're not a ranger and you're using bows, I like you probably have a lot fewer click attacks. I know paladins have some. I think the war priest war soul has some, but most of those click attack things for bows are in the
As,
deepwood and arcane archer trees.
right? Yeah, yeah. I'm usually an arcane archer, and I have a bunch
Right.
that I use. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got like 4 or 5 that I just don't tend to use just because I'm just cycling through the good ones.
Right. Right.
And as is pointed out in here in the chat, that it's not very good. This attack is not super great. And they can miss too, right? So I would prefer a even if it was really gutted, I would prefer a here's a bonus to double shot and or
Right.
range
Just
power.
give me a bonus for like 20 seconds or
Right. Yeah.
30 seconds or whatever. I mean, 20 seconds would be fine.
That's what it is right
But
now. It's 20 seconds.
but don't make me freaking click it to make an attack and then I gotta wait and then I gotta click.
Right.
Yeah.
because I this is essentially just taking it away from me. I just may not ever use it
Right. Yeah.
because I have
I
other
mean,
stuff.
I'll
Well, that's
be
not
honest.
entirely true for reasons, but
Like right now, I don't foresee ever using this unless like I said, I jump on Lamania next build and I'm like, okay, I could see maybe in certain situations I might use this, but I won't rely on it as much as I rely on Minishot now. I can tell you that.
yeah, I would like it to be action boosty style.
No, I 100% agree.
Um, part of what this also does is, I think some people have been calling it kind of like a I actually don't remember what they were calling it, but there's kind of a nerfing aspect of this too because you can't. There was a question of does Hunt's End and Adrenaline proc on these extra attacks? It's 3 separate projectiles in one attack, followed by 1 double shot check that can roll over as usual with double shot. Hunt's End procs on all of them right now. The current functionality of Hunt's End and Adrenaline hitting more targets with projectiles, unlike melee attacks, is purely a quirk of the engine and a coincidence. Steel Star wouldn't regard it as specifically intended. It may change someday, but they don't plan to change it in this patch. You should be able to use the new mini shot while in Archer's Focus with no restrictions in the current build. Like everything, they'll be keeping an eye on it. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm totally fine with they're gonna gut the hell out of many shot. Fine.
Which I mean, I'll agree. It needed some tweaks, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing 90% of your DPS in 1/6 of the time, then I think there's a problem there. Clearly. But yeah. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we'll see.
Des, if you're listening, action boosty type, not attack.
Please.
Let's see. Knight of the Chalices, Tier 4 Knight's Training now also grants the shot on the run feat. Because paladins don't get any feats. So if you want to use a bow as a paladin, you're a little too feat starved, so that should help. Active range attacks that have bonuses to critical threat range no longer get double the range on those attacks. It's primarily applied to the ranged version of Exalted Smite, but would have been broken on the new mini shot as well. The other thing that was done frequently to prop up longbows and shortbows in the past was to give them abnormally large critical threat bonuses. This is no longer needed after this pass. Jury's still out on that one, but
I'm gonna say I don't know if I agree with that statement, but okay.
So they've taken bows that have exceptionally large critical threat ranges, 18 to 20, and reduced them by 1 to 19 to 20. All of these still have a larger critical threat range than average bows, just not as large as before. And then they gave us an affected list of the affected bows. Pinion, Sapphire Sting, Epic Sapphire Sting, Bow of Elements, Silver Bow, my poor Silver Bow, Epic Thornlord, Unwavering Ardency, Bow of Sinew, and Collapsible Short Bow. You also see more diverse array of ways to build bow builds in Epic later this year when Horizon Walk arrives and the Epic Destiny revamp is finished. Please, yes. Although I consider that kind of independent of this. If they can get all of their if they can achieve all of their goals, I don't think there's any question that you will see more variety of bow builds, which would be good. Like I think that's a good thing to get. I will mock some of my guildmates and say that it would be great if a rogue bow became an effective build.
See, I would love that. I would love that because I have a rogue that I've always wanted to use bows on, but there's really not that great of it. So I might turn that rogue into a bow rogue.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we'll see. There's just a lot. I don't know. They have, like I said, at the beginning of this when we first started talking about this, they have a lot of lofty goals for this.
Yep.
It's gonna be good? Question mark if they can pull it off, but
I think they can get there. I kind of in summary, I love the attack speed stuff, right? Like, I want that to. I think what they're talking about doing there is just better all the way around. Because
100%.
look,
Yeah.
the animation speed, the animation buffer safety part, like made it so that none of that stuff was doing for anything for you,
Right.
anyways. So, if I click something that says I'm going to attack 30% faster, well, damn it, I want to attack 30% faster, please.
Don't lie to me and say I am, and I'm actually not.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, like, I saw a couple comments like, "No, my speed boost." I'm like, if that wasn't doing anything before, I don't care if you're like, okay, you're reducing 25% to 20. Well, if that 5% wasn't doing anything before, and the 20% is going to do something now, then I don't care. It's still better. The damage, like the stuff they're doing with defeats and the damage, and increasing threat. Like, I like all of that stuff. It all sounds great. The biggest problem I have is with what they're doing with mini shot, and it's not that they're nerfing the crap out of it. It's just that I don't want it to be an attack. I'd like it to be a click and forget, and it gives me something. So, anything else you want to talk about for bow builds or anything from Update 49?
No, like I said, I'm just kind of looking forward to hopefully I can make some time the next Lamani build to get on and actually look at this because I didn't get a chance to check this out. I was just going through, the forums and seeing what people were saying. And so I kind of want to see it for myself before I make a full on opinion of it.
Let's talk about bonus days. Actually, before we jump off of bows, two things I'll say. Again, remember that they specifically said that the numbers will very likely change, right? They're still trying to dial in the numbers and get them where they want to be. So getting that cycled through, like iterations and getting people to do feedback will help with that. Hopefully they will kind of keep looking at it and tweaking some of these. The nice thing about the range power stuff is it's pretty easy. It has a really nice resolution to adjust things, right? You adjust those in feats pretty easily. I did not see anything about what they're going to do with the ability in Deepwood Sniper that gives you dexterity to damage with bows.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, right. They specifically mentioned it. They just said they're going to do it by default. So, like, what's the point of that ability? Are you going to give my dexterity modifier twice? Because that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've still made 2 levels deep in Ranger to get Deepwood Stalker for bows necessary. So I doubt they'll do that because that would be not good. But maybe they change it to give you maybe a little bit of damage to bows, like little range power to bows or something like that. I don't know. 5 range power to bows, not terrible. So let's see what they do there. They might just take it out and. Actually, I think many people will probably say it'll probably be left in, and then next update down the road they'll take it out or change it or something. So the other thing I want to make sure we mention: this change is expected to come during Hardcore Season 4. Hardcore Season 4 is supposed to start this Wednesday, I believe.
Yes,
that's
what they had said. Yeah. Yep.
And it's going to go through June 30th? Somewhere in that range.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Restart to restart for 3 months. Whenever the restarts happen, that's when it's going to come up. So this will hit during Hardcore Season, which is something they've said that they want to avoid, but they're not going to do it this time. So if you're planning on playing a bow build for Hardcore, I don't really know what to tell you. If you should do it or wait.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's a hard call. I would, if it was me, I would probably say I'm gonna wait and see how it
probably wait exactly. Yeah,
before I commit to
wait
it,
and wait and tweak a build around these changes, and then maybe try it
just
in hardcore.
not do a bow build this season.
Right.
But maybe it becomes great. I mean, I hope they can get it dialed in to work, and get their goals. All right, let's move on. Bonus days. Bonus days brings you double Mysterious Remnants and double Combinations of Valor this weekend. If you're listening to this live, you have until sometime tomorrow. If you're listening to this as the published shows, it's probably too late. Also, it's your final weekend to get Heroic, Epic, and Improved Autos boxes. Same thing through March 28th. So if you're listening to this and you want to get some, get them now. If you are listening to this recorded, it just closed, so it'll probably be back in whenever Hardcore Season 4 wraps. I would not expect them to go on sale during a Hardcore season ever, because people will buy them during Hard and use them on Hardcore. Yeah. And that just doesn't seem right. Not that people don't just buy a bunch of Astral Shards and just use the daily dice rolls, but to each their own. Improve your character. 25% off of select stat and skill tomes, tomes of heroic and epic learning, and a Harper Agent enhancement tree through April 1st. And I'll say for the 523rd time that can it just be not just the Harper Agent enhancement tree? Like, there's other enhancement trees you have on sale. Weekly coupon code is a Glamored Weapon Aura. Coupon code Hacking LAM or Hack NG LAM.
See, I read it as Hack in Glam is how I read it.
Yeah. You win.
Yeah. Well, see, at first I'm like, what like that code makes no sense, and I'm like, oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah, it's sneaky. They're sneaky. All right. So that will take us to community news. The 419th Chronicle, fourth season of Hardcore League starts on Wednesday. Learn more about it on the Hardcore League on the forums. It looks like it's going to be exactly like the previous seasons, other than there won't be extra lives. Which is like what seasons 1 and 2 were. So, actually, wait, that's not true. They did mention that there's going to be Jerry did mention some things that will be quote surprises. So there will be some minor changes. I anticipate that being related to champions, but I don't know. That's kind of just a guess. Strimtom checked out bow changes on Lemania, so you can check out his video on Twitch if you want to see more about his thoughts. Maybe see some of those numbers in action. The comment: when following the trail of the Beholder, it's always important to blank.
Stay behind it.
I was going to say turn around and go the other direction.
That works too.
Run away. Fansite news. We got a shout out for latest news. Cordovin hosted the show last week because I was unable to do so. Thank you to him for doing that. He had Bonnie Bew and Even Note on. DDO Players news. Hey, that's you.
That's me.
Talked about Gencon and more. So you can listen to their stuff on DDOplayers.com. The Damsels teach you how to MMO. Find out how on their multi-game podcast, including DDO. They're still a blast to listen to, even though they've branched out. Actually, possibly even more so because they've branched out.
True. Yeah.
I may have trolled them on their last 7 Days to Die point of view set videos.
Did you?
I don't. I'm gonna get the names wrong, but to give you an idea of what I did, I posted on Les's point of view, this video needs more Mithri, and then on Mithri's I said this video needs more Saba, and then on Saba's I said this video needs more Lessa.
Lessa. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. This week, Bard Life celebrates an anniversary. Voodoo has coffee and chat. He's doing a new weekly show on DDO Stream on Mondays, I think. I think it was Mondays. And Brighter Days Ahead tonight figures things out. Also on Twitch, Sapphire Roxas Dungeon Crawls, Newbie Cabra TRs, and Deathly TV wraps up Heroic. And on YouTube, Yuskai runs the Archbishop's Fate, Triang runs Ruined Halls, and Father and Son Gaming prepare for a move. Also, Cordovan and Steelstar sat down to talk about the bow changes on this week's weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch. So there you go. Rothko is saying in our chat that he's hoping for a ghostly footprint reward for hardcore. I like where your head's at. More footprints, it would be a very popular reward. I don't know what it would mean for them to be ghostly. Would they be white?
They would be invisible?
Kind of defeat the purpose. Yeah, I don't know what that would look like.
Maybe white, blue, like maybe like a weird see-through blue color, maybe.
I mean, I like more footprint options. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If for another reason, then you can color coordinate your footprint options with your Reaper wings and crowns and stuff. Glowing eyes. Although the red footprints don't really match any of those. They're just a solid red color. It'd be really cool if they had like that same fiery effect though. That would get me back on hardcore, no questions. D&D night. He's saying they glow. Yeah, sure. D&D night on DDO stream. Sundays 7 p.m. Eastern. Usually we try not to run concurrently with that, but we failed this week, so yay. But you can check those out also on YouTube and on twitch.tv/DDO stream if you want to watch those after the fact. DDOcast news. It's spring, so expect my schedule to be a lot more crazy because there's actually going to be a baseball season this year, so yay for that. Yeah. It covers that news, the community news. Drac, what gaming stuff did you want to talk about?
Well, basically, the big thing I wanted to talk about for DDO Players news podcast wise is Gencon. We did talk about Gencon last week on the episode. If you listened to our podcast last week, we talked about Gencon. Did mention that they are postponing. They're not canceling Gencon. They're just postponing it. It's moving to September of this year. So yay for that.
Which is it's moving what, like a month and a half later than it normally is?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be the beginning of August. Now it's moving to like the second week of September. So which could be interesting because Indiana weather starts to get interesting in September. So it could be interesting weather-wise. It won't be as hot typically. So there's that.
That could be good for the average gamer.
We have that to look forward to. It's usually not as hot as it is in August. Sometimes it is, but Indiana's weird with the weather. But in the process of that, we did get an email on the show to podcast at DDOplayers.com, and it was from Patrick. And this is kind of how this whole cross the streams dual podcast thing happened.
Don't cross the stream, people.
Exactly. He, just wrote in and he said that because I had mentioned on the podcast that Gencon had said possibly one of the requirements to attend would be you would have to prove that you got vaccinated.
Well, maybe before you get that far,
sure.
Let's just kind of talk about the boldness that is Gencon, because they're not talking about they're gonna have a lower number of people, right? Like it's not
right, correct. They are, and they haven't released any of the numbers or anything yet, but yes, they are going to limit badges. There is going to be live gaming. Then again, it's going to be limited number of participants. You're going to be spread out. They're still going to social distance. You probably might have to even wear masks still. That's still up in the air. All this is all tentative. They're but yeah, they are going to limit the number because last year there was almost 71,000 people
2 years ago.
I'm sorry, 2 years. Yeah, because last year, I was pretending there was a Gencon last year. Exactly. I was pretending I was at Gencon last year. But yeah, so 2 years ago, there was 71,000 people, almost 71,000 people. So, with the state of the world, even though things are quote unquote getting better in some places, You couldn't have
okay, let's take the quotes
71,000
out of
people.
that. Things are getting better. Like,
Okay.
let's just
Okay.
start there.
Things are getting better, but not better enough to where you could have 71,000 people together crammed in, especially like the vendor hall. That's the only thing that I foresee a problem is. It'll be easier with them limiting badges because then there won't be as many people. But then again, they didn't say how many they're going to do. And this is all up in the air. They are relying on uh, city of Indy and health officials and Gencon. They're all meeting. They're all going through this. So this is actively changing. Those three are going to make the decisions on, we're going to have X amount of people, we're gonna do, this many gaming people. I'm assuming games are gonna look a little different. You probably have bigger tables and you'll be spread out more at the table because usually they cram you into a table when you're playing a game, especially like D&D. They cram a lot of people around those tables for when you're playing D&D at Gen Con. So I'm pretty sure that's gonna change too. I'm just happy they're gonna have it. At least
Yeah.
so far, and I think it will actually happen. I At the beginning of the year, I wasn't so sure. I was like, "Yeah, this is not gonna happen." But since they pushed it back to September, I think it is gonna happen. With these changes, so it's gonna be a different Gen Con, but it's gonna be a Gen Con.
So, with all the stuff that you were talking about before we get into the whether or not that'll require a vac, because they said they're not sure if they're going to require the vaccine, right? Like that
Right,
was
correct. That's still up in the
yeah.
air. That's a possibility.
So here's my uninformed opinion as someone who works in the entertainment industry, which is a lot more related to this as you might think, because we support and work at conventions like this, and so like all the shiny lights that are over conventions, all the TV screens and booths and stuff. That's actually within my field of work.
Okay.
So this is not entirely like uninformed, but like I'm not a health expert and I can't predict where we're going to be in the future. This is going to be a fascinating thing to watch.
I 100% agree.
I think Gen Con will happen. The biggest question is going to be how many people are there, and I expect there's going to be some creativity involved, right? Like some things you might see is that if it was up to me, like I'd be doing things like, okay, we're going to have 4 colors of badges. Like each day there's going to be 4 colors, and each color is only allowed in the vendor hall during a certain amount of time, right? So it's not just a free for all. Like you have a limited time where you can go into the vendor hall to reduce the number of people that are in there, right? You can do things like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think of something like that.
Yeah. Gen Con, if you're by some strange chance listening, please feel free to use this. As long as you contact me and we'll discuss a finder's fee, a consulting fee. Anyways,
Right.
but you can do stuff like that, like gaming tables. You can do things like set up like shields between seats or something like that, so you're not completely spread out. Although that's a little harder with a shared game board. So like there's things that they can do and it'll be really fascinating. If you are planning to go, I would tell you should plan on a couple of things. One, you should just prepare to wear a mask. That
Indeed, 100%.
That may or may not be required. I would tell you should probably wear one anyway, even if you are vaccinated. But make your own informed decision. Please make it an informed decision. But like just be prepared, because I mean, one of the badges going on sale like a month or so.
They haven't announced that yet either.
Yeah,
actually.
they're probably waiting to see.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to make
up.
the whole decision exactly
as long as they can.
Get...
Well, but here's
Right.
the thing: they're going to have to start making decisions soon.
I would say badges are probably going to go on sale. I give it maybe the end of May, maybe.
I think they'll be. I think they have to be on sale before June.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's just not enough time for
Exactly.
people to plan.
Right. Exactly.
And
So
doing stuff. And when I say people, what I really mean is corporations, which we'll come back to. Circle around back to that. But I would expect that you're going to need to plan to wear a mask. So if you refuse to wear a mask, if that's a make or break thing for you, I would tell you not to get a badge. Because even if they tell you at the beginning masks will not be required, that could change. So if you're unwilling to wear a mask, don't get a badge to Gen Con, because that might change on you and you might get really upset. Save yourself the trouble and save everyone else the trouble, especially the poor people trying to make Gen Con happen, because it's not their fault. So I would consider that. You should also plan on being able to prove or show documentation of a couple of possibilities, one of which would be a vaccine. So I would highly expect that to attend the event, you will need to do an attestation to say that you don't have symptoms of COVID when you get there. And you'll probably have to do that every day, probably multiple times a day, depending on how. I haven't been, but if they have multiple sites, you might have to do an attestation at each site. Or you may only have to do it once, and the Gen Con will have like some sort of app that you can fill the attestation out, and then you can show that attestation throughout the day, or something like that. Or that you may have to do it on a time thing. But I would expect you will need to do some sort of attestation, probably more than one time a day, to say that you are symptom free. You will probably get temperature screened a couple of times a day.
They did mention that is going to be a thing.
So just expect things like that, because the worst case scenario for Gen Con is they hold Gen Con and it becomes a mass spread event. that is worst case scenario for them.
What they do not want to happen, but yes.
So there's going to be a lot of that stuff. I would also, keep an eye on the law, the regulations in Indianapolis, but also the actual state, which may or may not change. It does look like things are things are starting to opening up all over the place. So that gives me confidence that there's going to be a Gen Con. But I think it's going to be a lot smaller than people maybe expect it to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a smaller Gen Con and a much different Gen Con.
If you do get vaccinated and you're going to go to Gen Con, I would highly recommend that you either take the vaccination card with you or take a picture of it. And this is kind of led into the email that I mentioned I sent to Drac. One of the things that's happening around the world and in the U.S. as well is the idea of a vaccine passport. Or actually, I shouldn't call it a vaccine passport, but a passport, a COVID-19 passport. And a lot of the versions of this that I've heard are there's a combination of how you get a, quote, green card. That's not necessarily what they're calling it, but it's what I'm going to call it for nomenclature. So you imagine if you have an app on your phone that then displays a green check, a big giant green checkbox to say that you're good to go regarding COVID-19. You could get that green checkbox by being vaccinated. Would be one option. Having a test in the last couple of a negative test in the last couple of days, or 2 negative tests in the last week, or something like that, right?
Right.
It depends on where you're at, where they're going. I haven't looked into it a super bunch, but I'm aware of the fact, Israel, the whole country has this thing. There was a college, I want to say it was in Indiana area, but I'm not positive on that. There's a podcast by 538, Podcast 19, that's been looking at various aspects of the pandemic for the last year. They had an episode probably in the summerish where they talked to a college that they had a similar concept where they invested in this app that all students had, and students were required to get tested every week. And as long as they got negative tests every week, the app showed them like green, right? Like it was linked to like there was a bunch of or like security barriers, so it didn't like directly link things together. So the app didn't know your like medical history or anything like that. It just got it. The app just got data from the testing that said this person is good. And that's all it knew about that person was you're good. And so they had these checkboxes which you had to then show to gain entry to places. And then what happened was the businesses around the college started utilizing that. So they would allow college students to come in if they had that check mark on their phone app.
If they were green or they were checked
Right.
or whatever. Right. Okay.
And this is actually something that New York is starting to experiment with, a version of this as well. I think they've just started putting it out in like a test groups. I don't think it's like the whole city yet, but they're test grouping this. The travel industry is really pushing the Biden administration to develop or invest in a national version of this, because they think that it will promote the idea of being able to give confidence to travelers. Because if people come on, have this app, like it's a way that they can show that I'm cleared to travel, right? It's an easier way to say I'm cleared to travel. I would expect that international travel will transition to this, because countries are going to be requiring, if you come into our country, here's your options. You can show us 3 negative tests within a week of your flight, one of which has to be the day before or something like that. Or you can quarantine in our country for 10 days. Or you can be vaccinated.
A lot of countries are doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can be vaccinated and show us proof of your vaccination. And, a passport app like this could be, would cover the testing, could cover the testing or vaccination kind of a thing. So the travel industry is really pushing that. And as that happens, I would kind of be shocked if conventions don't piggyback off of that, right? Because they're really actually very related industries. Conventions drive so much business and economy in travel and restaurants. And I mean, what does Indy make every Gen Con? Like $40 billion or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like basically Gen Con drives Indy's economy for the whole year.
Yeah,
in those 4 days.
Yeah.
So Indy really needs Gen Con back.
Which is why Indy gives Gen Con lots of tax cuts to have conventions.
Yeah,
they drive a lot of economy.
Gen Con takes over Indy basically. The whole town of Indy is Gen Con for those 4 days.
So
because they want gamers there.
So that's kind of where I would expect you to need to, if you're going to Gen Con, to either have test results or a vaccine card, like proof of being vaccinated, or possibly a quarantine period in the state. But that may or may not be an option as things start opening up more and it's easier to get tested and easier to get a vaccine. The quarantine thing may become something that they don't really offer. Also, it's a lot harder to track. So Gen Con may just say that, I don't care if you quarantine or not. You need our app to say that, and you need to put in test results or something like that, right? Like that could be a thing that happens. My personal hope is that the U.S. government actually organizes this and we have a U.S. standard that does this. Not in a way that it protects people's information, is not giving medical information, right? And I've had conversations with people that no way in hell am I going to use this because my medical information is my business. Sure, absolutely. What I'm talking about, or I'm hearing being talked about, is not something that it's something that in ideally in practice, and what I'm hearing people like the travel industry kind of push for is there's barriers between the information, right? There's double blindness. The app doesn't have the information, doesn't necessarily know who you are. You just have an identification number which matches something to something else, right? So there's barriers to protect privacy, information, and security and stuff like that.
And all it's going to say is you're vaccinated and you took a test and you're negative, or
Yeah, and this is something that
what have you.
like the travel industry is pushing as being like an optional thing. It's not something that like I will be shocked if Gen Con requires you to have a vaccination. And the airlines have already like pushed back super hard on the idea that you have to be vaccinated to get on a plane. Like they do not want that, and they're like hard against that. And I think most people kind of generally are, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to like. You'll have options, but you will very likely need to do something to say that I am vaccinated or I have been tested recently and I'm good to go. And that's not just going to be for Gen Con. I mean, that's going to be, I think, conventions once some of this stuff starts rolling out. Like I said, Israel has already rolled this out. New York is working on rolling this out. I hope that our federal government does it, just because I don't want there to be like 40 different systems in 50 different states.
Yeah, see, that would be confusing. I think
worse.
it does need to be one central type, passport or app or something. It needs to be centralized in only one.
I also would prefer, this probably is a sentiment that varies based on what country you're in, but I would generally prefer my country to be the one that's creating and designing, and
true,
whatever information is being held onto is being held onto by my country and not other countries.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So, I really hope it stays like it's an option, right? It's an opt-in, easy option as an alternative to other things.
I think it just boils down to right now it's a very fluid thing. Gen Con said they're always going to keep everybody updated on what's going on. It just boils down to, I think, personally, to me, is how do you feel? Do you feel safe going? If you feel safe going with the precautions that are going to be in place, like you said earlier, you're probably going to have to wear a mask.
I would plan on it.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to get your temperature taken multiple times.
If I were to guess, I would say that Gen Con won't actually require you to wear a mask if you meet certain things, right? Like if you are vaccinated, if I was to guess, I would say that if you're vaccinated and can show vaccination, which is kind of why I was talking about that passport idea for a while. If you can show that you've been vaccinated, you won't have to wear a mask. Maybe they put a sticker on your badge to indicate that or something like that. If you are not vaccinated, maybe they require you to wear a mask and have tested negative and have a negative test within 3 days of the start of the convention. And maybe they have testing on site that you can pay for or something like that. Like those are all things that I think are pretty reasonably plausible in terms of happening. I personally don't think a month and a half is going to functionally change much about any of that.
I don't think so either.
I don't know. It might get them a little bit of a buffer. I think the biggest change there is how many people are vaccinated. I don't think that it's going to functionally change much. Maybe 5,000 attendance difference. Maybe. It's kind of my shot in the dark guessing. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not like I'm
right.
I'm involved with, but kind of on a tangential level with this kind of an industry. Right. The thing that's going to be the biggest driver of what happens at this event is going to be the vendors. The people, the companies that come to Gen Con to sell and promote their products. Because, without them, is there really Gen Con?
Right. That's probably, I don't know, 80% of Gen Con is that. People go because like all your new games are released at Gen Con. They announce new games there. That's the game companies are a big part. And it will be interesting to see what they do and how many of them show up. Is there going to be as many as there usually is? Are they going to limit those numbers too?
So some off-the-cuff prognostication. please don't send me emails if I'm wrong. I'm just kind of I'm guessing and theorizing here. But what I would expect is there's going to be a bunch that just won't send anybody, right? Because they have responsibilities to their workers, and sending your workers to a place where if they get COVID-19 and are then out of work for can't come into the office for 2 weeks, and maybe they get really sick and aren't in the office for a month and a half or 3 months if they're a long hauler, or heaven forbid that they are are killed by COVID-19. Like, that's a risk for the company, and it's not an insignificant risk. And if I was gonna kind of further the guessing game, I would kind of expect, in order to get more of those companies to participate in Gencon will actually need to be more restrictive than the local government, if I was going to guess. Hopefully, I'm wrong on all of this, and by the time we get to September, gathering in groups of 40,000 people is no longer an issue. But I don't think we're going to get there in that amount of time.
I don't think we're going to get there either, but we'll see. We can always hope.
That's kind of like the big benchmark that I've been looking at is when we can gather in groups of 40,000 people, that opens up so many things. So that really opens up sporting events and conventions and big things like concerts, right, which generate a lot of economy and buzz and stuff like that.
Right. So like I said, just stay tuned. Gencon is always updating and changing, so we'll just see what happens. But it's going to be an interesting Gencon, to say the least, because it's going to be, as I said earlier, a much different Gencon experience for sure.
Are you aware of any other gaming conventions or just general conventions that are going to happen before this?
Or
are is Gencon going to be kind of the canary?
Gencon is going to be the first gaming convention, because Origins is after Gencon this year, because they moved theirs after.
So they get to play the role of tenant in the convention industry.
Yeah, Gencon is going to be, I think, the big test for big convention.
Yeah.
And I know, Comic-Con has already said they've canceled already. They might postpone it.
I saw that I saw something today that they're doing a special event version thing later in the year.
They were up in the air. They were gonna change it, and so I didn't finally see what they're gonna do. So I think Gencon is gonna be the big benchmark. So I think everybody's looking at them. It's like, okay, can you guys pull this off safely? If you can, we're all gonna do this then.
Which, give Gencon a lot of grace because they are taking a huge risk here.
Be kind. Yeah.
They could potentially eat it in the shorts here, to the point where Gencon, whatever the business is that runs Gencon, and I'm not kidding here. I don't think this is going to happen, but no joke, this could fold them.
If they don't pull this off this year, I don't think they'll survive, because they lost so much money last year not doing the convention.
Well, the issue would be if they try and do this, and then right before they have to cancel again, right? That's gonna really crater, because they're gonna have all the startup costs to put stuff back in.
Yeah,
which is why they're moving back a month, because they probably can't move back any farther than that and still reasonably have the convention. It's kind of as late as they can have it this year, probably. But if it craters, then Gencon's gonna end up getting sold. There's probably, I have to guess that there's a bunch of restaurants and little mom and pop businesses that are looking at Gencon and they're like, okay, if we can make it to Gencon, if we can just make it to Gencon, right? So I really hope it happens, and I really hope
as good as it can be. the hospitality industry needs Gen Con to happen
They
for
need conventions.
Indianapolis' sake. Right.
They need conventions.
That's true, yeah.
Like like that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And it can't happen until we can gather in groups of 40,000 people.
Right.
Like that's the low benchmark on that.
Like I said, good luck, Gen Con. You're the guinea pig. You're the test. So I hope you can pull it off for every other convention's sake.
I really hope they do better than Tenet, because Tenet was the canary for the movie industry, and
we all know how that
it
turned
was
out.
not. I mean, it was a good movie. I mean, I'll probably watch that movie like another 5 times and still not understand what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
it was a good movie, but it bombed at the box office in normal terms. So, yeah. All right, I think we can close out the show here. Long show for you, not so long for me. But hey, for the people who listen to both shows, you condense it into one, so less listening.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good conversation too.
It was. So, yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff to talk about too. I mean, there was a lot to digest with the whole Lomadia stuff. So
a lot of stuff to talk about with that, and talked about Gen Con, and I blew a lot of smoke out, and we'll see.
See if you were right on any of it.
I mean, look at it this way. If my normal track record holds for this, I just assured everyone of having a huge, very successful Gen Con.
Okay, see? That's all we needed to know.
I'm sure I'll get like 30% of that right. And to be honest, like, I really hope that I get less percent of that right. Because, like, I want these things back. These things are fun.
I think we all do.
Yeah. So, wait, where can people find DDO Players news?
Over at DDOPlayers.com. Also on Twitter at DDO Players.
Anything else you want to plug?
No, just at Draculetta_72 if you want to follow my ramblings on Twitter. I'm kind of boring on Twitter, but I'll just be honest with you. But if you want to follow, there you go.
I mean, I think you're more interesting than me. I just talk about the show stuff. So, you talk about board games and stuff and Gen Con.
Yeah, I guess mine's a lot of like board games and a lot of beer talk. So that's I mean, if you're into board games and beer, follow me.
Gen Con is probably the thing that we talk about the most that's not related to DDO on the show.
True.
We didn't do that like at all last year. So, yeah. Well, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to Draculetta for joining me today. And thank you to me for joining DDO Players News today.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Thank you for being on DDO Players News.
Yeah.
Funny how that worked out.
Yeah. Thanks for the folks hanging out with us in the chat. Thanks to Saying Some Games, to Wizards of the Coast, Cyberbears for hosting DDOCast. If you'd like to support DDOCast, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you'd like to support DDO Players News, you can.
You can go to our website as well and support us on Patreon.
And you can find more of our stuff, DDOCast.com for DDOCast, DDOPlayersNews.com.
Just DDOPlayers.com.
DDOPlayers.com for DDO Players News. You can go there for past show, for both places for past shows, show notes, all that fun stuff. If you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, you just want to say hi, you want to tell me how wrong and stupid my predictions for Gen Con are, like, have at it. Like, you can email us, leave a comment, DDOcast@gmail.com, DDO Players...
Podcast at DDOPlayers.com.
There you go. Podcast at DDOPlayers.com.
There you go.
So, and you can find us on social media at DDOcast for me, at DDO Players for DDO Players News, at Draculetta_72 for Draculetta.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been fun. So my all attack rolls will be crits. All your chest level appropriate. Have fun, and don't forget to gather for boss.